It's been reported that 19 children have been murdered in the Western Cape since the beginning of the year. This raises a lot of questions about the prevalence of child abuse in our societies. We spoke to Chantal Chandler, Lesch, social worker, child protection VEP manager at Molo Songololo. Molo Songololo is an NPO that supports youth and children who have been victims of rape, sexual exploitation, and those that are at risk. She gives valuable tips about what to do when a child reports an incident of abuse. Let's take a look.
And today we visited the Molo Songololo organization that fights for the children's rights, and we will be talking to Chantal Chandler Lesch, and she is a social worker in this organization. So thank you so much for joining us, Chantal.
Thank you very much.
What projects do you normally work on?
Molo Songololo is a child's rights organization, a non-governmental organization. We focus on protecting, ensuring that children's rights are protected, and that they grow in a safe environment, and making sure also that they are empowered when it comes to making decisions, knowing their rights, and also their rights to participate in certain decision making relating to them. The programs that we currently running, we have a VEP program, that's a victim empowerment program. We focus on providing counseling, therapeutic services, as well as support to child victims of sexual exploitation, child trafficking, and child pornography.
So what are the symptoms of child abuse, and what is it that we need to look out for in such a situation?
We get the rape. Rape is where penetration do take place, any type of penetration, for form of penetration. Then you get the sexual assault. That's where the touching is involved. That is where cases where the touching involves alleged perpetrators touches the child's private parts. That we call a sexual assault here. And then the rape is the penetration, where there's actual penetration. Doesn't necessarily have to be with the organs, it can be any object also. Yes, when children start to develop, they get into their own personalities. But it's important, as I said, that the parents need to know and be involved more in what their children are busy with, why they're going, who they associate with. Children also come into or get into relationships or meet peers where they fit into a certain category of group, where they need to be a certain role somewhere. But it is important because you also need to differentiate, is it normal growing personality, or can it be that the child can be sexually assaulted or sexually abused? That is where it's important that parent needs to be involved in the children, check on the children, what are they busy with. Especially the small ones are very more vulnerable, and it's very much important that they need to check their children as much as possible to make sure, because anything can happen anyway. It doesn't happen to certain children or not certain children, it can happen to any child. So it's important that they need to look and make sure that they know the child, know who the child is developing into, the type of personality type. You notice that the child is quiet, then you engage with the child in conversation, but to find out where's this quietness coming from. Is there something that you need to look out for? Find out, does the child go to school, how's school doing? Check on the child's schoolwork, because what we do notice is that children that are victims of sexual assault of any nature, it has an effect on them emotionally, obviously, and also then academically, because you can see there are things starting to slip. So you can notice certain traits when it comes to a child that can be a victim of sexual abuse. So that's some of the avenues that you need to look at. Who's the child walking with? Why this type of crowd? The child with this friends, why this friends now? How's the child going to school? Find out who's the teacher that is involved in the child's life on a permanent basis or every day, who the child has a relationship with. That can also guide you as a parent, because you're not there every day. Most of the parents are in the work, they come out late, and sometimes they find it difficult even to have a conversation with the child. But it's important, you have to prioritize that because of the things that our children are exposed to on a daily basis.
Should you suspect your child, where do you report? Do you go to the police, or where exactly do you go? And also, who is responsible for reporting child abuse?
I can remember in the olden days, or not olden, I'm not that old, but people always say that your child is my child and everybody's child. And that statement I need to say, everybody has a responsibility to report. It is not just my responsibility or your responsibility. It's a responsibility of all who's living in the area, who is in the community, who sees the children every day, who's with the children every day. Reporting, sometimes we detect that people are very sometimes scared to be involved because they feel they can be judged or they can be targeted depending on the areas they live in. We always recommend, if they want to, they can even come to us to go report. The social workers, they can report at the police station, they can report to the teachers because they have a legislative obligation to report that type of cases to the police anyway. So they have access anyway to report. According to the Children's Act, all officials that work with children, that is now officials that working, they have an obligation to report any forms of reporting of abuse. They need to do that. Otherwise they fail what they are supposed to do, to protect the children. They need to report that to the nearest police station. That is why I said community members are also free to come report it at the social worker, the nearest social worker's office, probably like Department of Social Development, PADISA, RCFF, they can report to that organizations depending who's working in the area. But they can also go to the police station, to the pastor even, to the teacher, they can and report it. If they feel that their lives can be in danger, they can do it also anonymously also. I always encourage that. To save that child is the most important thing. So if it is that you are afraid to save that child from any more abuse, come anonymously.